Yo, what's good people? Welcome back again to another podcast presentation of Yosef's 2 cents. Tonight I want to share with you a very important subject that affects us collectively and individually, young, old, rich, poor alike, and that is a dark future. That's right. With so much going on and with so much continuing to ensue, collectively, we do have a dark future. I'm going to share with you the different dimensions as to why we have a dark future ahead of us. As always, I'm your man, Yosef X, and I welcome you back to another podcast presentation of Yosef's 2 cents on Facebook and YouTube. We will get things started momentarily right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, welcome back again to another podcast presentation of Yosef's 2 cents. I'm your man, Yosef X. And let's see who has joined us on both Facebook and YouTube. Hey, Giselle, what's going on? Thanks for joining us tonight. Good to have you with us. Good evening to you too, Lady Marla. Thank you for joining us, dear. As always, that is on the Facebook side and on the YouTube side. Who do we have with us tonight? Mrs. James, good evening to you, and Elder James. Again, thank you for joining us, as always. I certainly hope that you have had a very productive and a very pleasant Wednesday afternoon. And I hope things are going well with you personally as well. Getting things set up here. And currently here in New York, it is 64 degrees. So it's been rather it's been a rather pleasant day today. Very, very pleasant. We have a lot of ground to cover as always. But before I do, I would like to give a shout out to Mrs. Kimberly Mosley. Pardon me, Mrs. Kimberly Mosberry, excuse me. She is the young lady who makes the fantastic sweatshirts with the lion and the fist on it. Let me stand up a little bit so y'all can get a better view. There it is. There it is. This is her talent. This is her this is what she does. I have a black one like this, and she is just remarkably talented, I should say. And so I've been following this young lady for quite a while, and I have purchased some things from her before. The bracelet, Pan African bracelet, color of the motherland, red, green, and black. And please, ma'am, please, sir, look up Mrs. Kimberly Mosberry. And she is just a fantastic and remarkable talent. Excuse me. And it would behoove all of you to patronize this young lady. She has a remarkable talent. Not only does she make sweatshirts, but she makes t-shirts as well. She makes coffee mugs. And as you can see, she also made this poster back here with the lion and the fist on there. So go ahead and check her out, patronize her, and inbox her for different prices. Mrs. Mosberry, job well done. Thank you so much for the red sweatshirt. Peace, power, and blessings be upon you, your husband, and the rest of your family. Shout out to you. All right. There is, as I've said, a lot of ground to cover. And I want to go ahead and first start off by saying that last night, who's just joined us again? Marjorie, my buddy, is that you? Thanks for joining us. Long time no see. Happy to have you with us tonight. I hope you and your husband and your family are doing well too. Yeah. Let me make sure I got everything straight before I go on here. And make sure I got that taken care of before we move on. Thank you, Giselle. I appreciate that. I had a pretty good day. No real complaints. All right. Listen. As I've said, there's a lot of ground for all of us to cover tonight in a matter of hopefully an hour and 30 minutes, but we've been going hard and hitting that 2-hour mark, so I'm going to go ahead and try to be as expeditious as I possibly can. Tonight, Our thesis, our subject is a dark future. Now, why in the world, get my Bible here and other books of scripture, why do I want to talk about a dark future? It is no secret, ladies and gentlemen, the insanity that continues to ensue our country and abroad. The challenges that confronts all of us, young, old, rich, poor, black, or pardon me, melanated, non-melanated, in between, it's not a secret. I mean, you all have heard me say time and time again that we are really facing some very dark and dangerous times. The times that confronts all of us are life-threatening, and it is a threat to our souls. It's a threat to all of us in one shape, form, fashion, or another. It's not a secret. You understand? And it's taking all of us, or rather all of the Most High within us. I'm getting it together. Got to make sure I got everything straight. I apologize. All right. All right. It's taking everything that is walking replicas, if you will, us being walking replicas of the Most High. It's taking all of the Most High within us, all of the Almighty in us, just to maintain our sanity, just to maintain at least some semblance of sanity. I mean, everything that continues to go on, it's affecting us, whether you want to admit it or not. It's affecting us. It's affecting us physically. It's affecting us mentally or psychologically. Our psychological apparatus and our psychological hygiene, it's been ill affected. We are living in a weaponized society. Shoot, this is a weaponized global community. I say it's a weaponized global community because the problems that we face is not just problems that confronts us in the United States. It's problems that confronts us on a worldwide scale. Let's face it. We're in a situation where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You really don't know which way to turn. You really don't know which way to go. You don't know. And it's also gotten to the point that when you do try to tell the truth and you try to inform people, it either goes over their heads, or they're deaf, or they have selective hearing and selective thinking. And then when you turn around and they hear somebody else say the same exact thing that you just got through saying, they will believe them. So it lets me know that the majority of human beings on the earth, they're not really interested in the truth itself. They're focused more on who tells the truth, who says the truth, who tells the truth, more than the truth itself. And because of that, there is a progressively spreading growth of hypersensitivity by man for his or her fellow man. I mean, first it was the infamous slap by Will Smith on Chris Rock. And Russell and Ciara, people are still talking about them. And now, here is one of the most controversial topics that has been brewing ever since 1973, Roe versus Wade. And now people are starting to talk about that it could possibly, make sure I get it together, it's been possibly being overruled. It could quite possibly become overruled. Now, personally, the subjects I present to you and I give you my 2 cents, I give you my commentary on it, right? It comes from a very conservative aspect. My stance on a lot of views is conservative. Does that make me a Republican? I'm not a Republican at all. As a matter of fact, I don't vote. I don't vote at all. I stopped voting a long time ago. And I told you my reasons why. But for those of you who may have missed it, I'll share it with you again. The reason why I am neither Republican and I am not Democrat anymore, and I am not independent anymore, is because of the growing failure on the part of this culture or this government to its citizens. Both political parties has failed you, the American people. And so for myself, I am on the quest to totally becoming sovereign. Besides, we are supposed to be a sovereign people anyway. The reality of the matter is, people have failed trying to govern other people. You've heard me say before, it's in the books of scriptures if you follow those books. If you are a Christian or if you are a Jew, it says in your books of scripture that the children of Israel, in essence, weren't supposed to have a humanistical king. They were not supposed to have a human king because it was the Most High himself who wanted Israel to be. He wanted to be king of Israel. We are not supposed to be governed by other people. But you know how hard-headed them ancient Negroes of ancient Israel were. They argued vigorously, vehemently. We want us a king. We want us a king. And Saul was Israel's first king. But Saul later on fell outside of the divine favor of the Most High because he was disobedient to him. The Most High told and decreed and instructed Saul to destroy everything. Destroy the spoils, the cattle, the man, the woman, everything. He wanted everything destroyed. But because of his ego, his egoism, his egotistical side came out. And because of his disobedience, the Ruach HaKodesh, you all know as the Holy Spirit, removed himself from Saul. And because the Most High removed himself because of Saul's hard-headed behavior, because of his ego, this is where we are. Now, I will say again, for me personally, I'm glad that there is a possibility that Roe versus Wade might be overturned. And I have to agree with the Supreme Court Justice who said it was egregiously wrong from the beginning. Very, very egregious. Roe versus Wade was a mistake from Jump Street. Before I continue on, let me observe your observations on Facebook and YouTube. Giselle says, "Who am I? I know what I've done to get to this point and what I'm determined to do later on in life. The question, who am I, can have a lot of individuals thinking about themselves, including myself, because one might know where to start, and that's a dark place." All right, I'll give you that. But see, here's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about it necessarily from a humanistical position. Or I'm not talking about it from a humanistical disposition. I was talking about it more or less from a Salvinic disposition, a Salvinic point of view. Because as we all know, as we all see, the world we live in continues to grow progressively worse. It continues to grow much worse. And see, as of right now, every single one of us, in terms of our salvation, our destinies is unclear. What we're striving to become is we're striving to be on the right side of history by being on the right side of the Most High, by being in His divine favor. But there's so much darkness that honeycombs or surrounds us. And the number one dimension that I want to talk about tonight is Roe versus Wade. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to look that up in just a moment. Let me observe Mrs. James' observation. She says, "Take your time, Reverend." She continues, "That's the earthly sense." She also says Saul was a work of art. You know what? The record is that it says that Saul was good looking. He was handsome. He was easy on the eyes, if you will. And truly he was a work of art. But this is where, once again, and Saul is not the only one guilty of this. We all, in one form or another, we all have been guilty of allowing for our egos to overtake us. We've allowed for our egos to hinder us from receiving the bountiful blessings that the Almighty Supreme Being has for us. See? Now, here's the thing too. Brother John, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us tonight. Here's the issue. I make no apologies for saying this. The possibility of Roe versus Wade being overturned or overruled? I'm glad it is. You know, since, as a matter of fact, let me do this right. Let me do it right. Google how many abortions has taken place since 1973. Thank you. Peep this. Since 1973, over 63 million abortions have occurred in the United States since Roe versus Wade. And the source that I got that from is foxnews.com. I'm going to read it again. Over 63 million abortions have occurred in the United States since Roe versus Wade. That means, to me, that's 63 million murders that have taken place since 1973. Google, how many black babies have been aborted since 1973? Let me look this up right quick. I got a PDF. But I want you to pay attention to that number again. That includes melanated babies, white babies, Asian babies. 63 million abortions, so they say. And see, let's call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. They want to use the word abortion instead of really using what it really is. That's murder. See, they want to use the word abortion to cushion the blow. They want to use the word abortion so it won't hit the conscience of a woman or the man. Abortion. Not murder, but abortion. Now, doesn't it say in the scripture, thou shalt not kill? And it didn't specify what methodology is utilized in killing somebody in cold blood. The record is, thou shalt not kill. Oh, but wait. We only want to use the scriptures when it's convenient for us and when it suits our prejudices. The record is, thou shalt not kill, meaning you don't kill babies. But there's a reason why. Actually, I've come up with 3 reasons as to why people are so upset and they are such in an uproar when it comes down to Roe versus Wade possibly being overturned. But before I get into that, it is said in this, according to this this site here, the ArizonaCapitalTimes.com, it says since 1973, 19 million black babies were aborted. 19 million babies aborted. Pardon me. 19 million melanated babies murdered since 1973. So no matter how you look at it, whether you want to use abortions, a base, the reality is it's murder. Now, Here's the thing. Before somebody goes and comes on my live feed on Facebook or YouTube and they start to argue the point why it's not right for abortions to be illegal, what about incest? And what about people being raped? I give you that. But here's the thing. At the very bottom of the totem pole, it's a low percentage as to why a woman would even abort the child in the first place in those two instances, whether it's incest or sexual assault. The percentages of both cases is at the totem pole at the very bottom. See, there's three reasons why everybody is in an uproar. And notice who's always in an uproar when something that is evil and wicked is now being either overturned, overruled, rescinded, or something. It's always a certain kind of woman or female or useless male with the most to say, especially when it is something that is vile and sinister and wicked. The first reason is because they can no longer use abortions like it's birth control. Yeah, I said it. That's right. They can no longer use abortions like it's birth control pills. Let's face it. And listen, y'all can get mad at me all you want to. I really don't give a crap. I don't care. Because the number one reason, and I'm going to get to the biggest reason in a few moments, but the number one reason, not necessarily in this order, you can't use abortions like it's birth control pills anymore. You can't escape your responsibilities of being a parent like you used to. Let me read this article. I'm going to read excerpts of when it comes down to murders in the melanated community. It says abortion, the overlooked tragedy for Black Americans. Abortions impacts African Americans at a higher rate than any other population. In 2011, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released an abortion surveillance report. According to that report, Black women make up 14% of the childbearing population. Yet 36% of all abortions were obtained by Black women, at a ratio of 474 abortions per 1,000 live births. Black women have the highest ratio of any group in the country. When you use those percentages, it indicates that of the over 44 million abortions, this is the article from ArizonaCapital.com. Over 44 million abortions since the 1973 Roe versus Wade Supreme Court ruling. 19 million black babies were aborted. African Americans are just under 13% of the United States population. Peep this. White women are 5 times less likely to have an abortion than black women. Perhaps it is a matter of availability. A study by Protecting Black Lives in 2012 found that 79% of Planned Parenthood's surgical abortion facilities are located within walking distance of minority communities. In 2011, 360,000 melanated babies were murdered. CDC statistics for 2011 showed that 287,072 black deaths occurred from all other causes excluding abortions. And so that's why I said that you can't use abortion clinics like it's birth control pills anymore. Especially for those that enjoy promiscuous sex and enjoy being connoisseurs of penises. You can't escape being mothers now. You can't. You can't. Let me look up this next article here. Now, according to FoxNews.com, between 1975 and 2012, this country saw that 1 million abortions each year. See? But you got the nerve and the audacity to say that you want to be a wife or you want to be treated like a queen. For what? And notice who's angry about the possibility of abortions being overturned. Notice who's angry. Notice who's angry. But yet, you mad at a man who has self-respect and has dignity and who has standards, and you mad at him because he doesn't want to put up with your bull-ish. Man, miss me with that. Are you kidding me right now? All right, let me get to your comments right quick. Lady Marla says, until a pregnant single woman by the fictional name of Jane Roe challenged Texas criminal abortion laws, the decision whether or not to terminate the pregnancy was left entirely up to the state. Here's the thing. Now, there's no disputing that either. But let me counter it by saying legality ain't morality. Legality ain't morality. See, this is the reason why I say this is a dark future. Because anytime you got people that's angry and are absolutely outraged and are absolutely infuriated because the possibility, it's not official yet, but the possibility of abortions being overturned, and they're angry about that, they can't use abortions like it's birth control anymore. That's the first reason. The second reason is because, and I touched on it a few seconds ago, they can't have promiscuous sex as often as they were doing before.
They can't have casual sex. Nah, they can't have casual sex like they were having before. No, 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 no. They couldn't have that before. They can't have promiscuous sex as often as they were. They enjoyed in certain aspects of the internet. They can't be riding the cock carousel anymore. They can't be connoisseurs of penises no more. They can't be hopping off of one man going to the next now. That's another reason why they upset. And once again, your preachers, your bishops, your imams, your priests, your rabbis, they're not going to tell you any of this. You know why they're not going to tell you any of this? They want to keep the money rolling in. That's really what they want. They really want to keep the money rolling in. And they want to try and water this truth down. They want to try and water everything down. But listen, whether I'm Yosef X or whether I'm Yosef Isaiah Benjamin, the preacher / teacher, I ain't watering down nothing. I'm not watering down ish. Life has taught me to be unapologetically honest and truthful and to tell the truth. And it's up to the person that I'm presenting the truth to take it or leave it alone and let it go. You can't be promiscuous like you were. You mad. Oh, listen. Let me tell y'all something. The reality of the matter is this. It feels good when you sinning against the Most High. I know it does. I've been there. Especially when I was drinking alcohol pretty heavy. Felt good. It always feels good when you sin against the Most High. And for a lot of you, you enjoy promiscuous sex. That's your thing. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Now, if you haven't been through any challenges in your life and you don't know how the Most High will bless you to come up and out of your dysfunction, then I ain't talking to you. But if you know for a fact that you've been in some tight spots in your life and you finally wanted to get yourself together with the Most High and you finally wanted to get better, and you know for a fact that you did get better, then I'm talking to you. And you have gotten better, I'm talking to you. See? So the two reasons. One, you can't use abortion like it's birth control pills anymore. Two, it reduces the percentage of you having promiscuous sex. Oh yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I know that somebody is going to get all of their little feelings and they going to get mad at me because I said you can't use abortions as birth control pills anymore and you cannot be promiscuous like you want to. I know you're going to get mad. And then you're going to also try and defend why abortions is is right, legally as well as morally. As a matter of fact, just in case some goofballs, what male or female, gonna get in their little feelings and say, how dare you say all of that? Shut your mouth, shut your pie hole, and maybe if you have any kind of intelligence in those brain cells of yours, you'll learn something while I teach you something. As a matter of fact, I have in my archives some notes about the myths of abortions. And don't think for a moment that I have forgotten about the third reason as to why everybody's in an uproar about the possibility, the mere possibility, that Roe versus Wade could very well be overturned, overruled. I'm going to get into that in a moment. But first, this is what I'm going to need for y'all to do. Like the video, share the video, tag your family and your friends, and on the Facebook, on the YouTube side, pardon me, like, share, and subscribe to my channel, the Yosef Isaiah Benjamin channel. So what I'm getting ready to do right now is take a brief intermission while I locate my archives about the myths of abortions. Don't go anywhere, folks. I'm going to take a brief intermission. I'll be right back. And I'm going to acknowledge your observation, Giselle. Just give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. That's on Facebook and YouTube. Don't y'all go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to acknowledge all of your observations. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that little brief intermission. Make sure everything is still where it needs to be. Make sure that yeah, I had to see what I wanted to do. I had to go back, and I had to go back and get my notes, and I knew exactly where to go get it also, just in case some of these oversensitive pseudo intellects are going to call themselves going to defend why abortion is real, and why abortions is legal, I should say. Yeah, it's real, all right. Real murderous. And as you can see, I have my notes right here. And I did a podcast episode on the myths and realities of abortions. All right. Let me acknowledge your observations on. We're going to go to the YouTube side first. Mrs. James says, Justice Blackmun, along with 6 other justices, argue that the decision to abort should be available to the woman, but only up to a certain point during the pregnancy. She continues, when the Roe versus Wade is complete, the government aid will discontinue for those parents that are capable to work. That's another reason why there's such an uproar too. I never thought of that, but I'm glad you did, Mrs. James. Thank you. There's actually 4 reasons, and Mrs. James just presented the well, actually the 4th one. Prior to my having 3 reasons, she just presented the 4th one. Well, we named 3. Mrs. James put out the 3rd one. I'm going to give you the 4th one in a few moments. I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten at all. I have not forgotten at all. On the Facebook side, Meta side, Giselle says, maybe the government assistant will be available, to the senior citizens and other people that need the assistance, instead of the female having babies every year, so the taxpayers could pay for the government babies. Could be. See, see, here's where I'm going at. Where I'm going with this is, I know from what I've read in certain articles about this Roe versus Wade situation possibly being overturned. It's not official yet. So let's say, for the sake that it does get overturned. In this situation, it's a double-edged sword. The reason why it's a double-edged sword is because of the reasons that I made mention of before, and Mrs. James, and from what you observed too, Giselle, it could very well be. However, it stops these promiscuous women from using abortions as birth control pills. It stops them from having promiscuous sex. And then somebody also said on a podcast earlier, as I was listening to earlier, said child support was skyrocket through the roof. Because let's face it, a lot of women, they use child support as their gyp game. And these are the very same toxic women that will put these men in subhuman poverty. And here's the thing, the fathers that want to be a part of that child's life, they're being denied. And then the men that's not being denied being able to see their child, they don't even give a damn about their child. They don't even give a damn whether they live or die. See, that's another reason why this is a dark future. Everything is so ass backward. It's rear end backward, man. Do you understand why I said I wanted to talk to you about a dark future? Do you understand now? Is it making sense? Like seriously, is it really starting to make sense now? We're living in some dark times, man. And see, if I was preaching and teaching, I would use Job 9:24, and I would also use, I believe, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 10 through 12. Look, don't take my word for it. Look these scriptures up for yourself and then apply it to your ecology and see where or what scripture fits where. That's all you have to do. Let me get to some more of your observations. Lady Marla says the name Roe versus Wade came from a woman named Jane Roe, who wished to challenge those laws which kept her from getting what she wanted, an abortion. Those are just some historical background on this. Giselle says they will be lined up like the women getting a BBL. For those of you that don't know what a BBL is, like Giselle made mention of, a BBL is a Brazilian butt lift. That's what a BBL stands for, a Brazilian butt lift. And Giselle ain't lying. She ain't lying at all. She continues. Yeah, child support and taxpayers will pay the bills. So it's a double-edged sword. That's why I say, honestly, it's a double-edged sword. Remember I said earlier, we're in situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is it. Now, let me quote myself from a past podcast episode of Yosef's 2 Cents, entitled The Myths and Realities of Abortions. Allow me to quote myself. Quote, "This is truly one of the most important and controversial topics in this gynocentric society today. One school of thought presents abortions as the American Holocaust, the genocide of the melanated family. It is dealing with a matter of vast importance, life and death. I know that life itself is vastly more important than economics and religious freedoms. It's because of any one of us are deprived of life. Obviously, all of our other freedoms and liberties are gone as well. Since the infamous Roe v. Wade decision back in 1973, 18,390,445 melanated babies have been aborted. 60,069,971 abortions have taken place in this republic since 1973. This is a tremendous problem. This is a moral issue, a spiritual problem, an ethical problem. We must look at this issue without hysterics and emotion. The argument is that abortions are not killings. The unborn are the products of conception. They're simply fetal material, i.e., which is to say, they're genetic garbage. Whereas other scientists have declared the developing fetus is not a subhuman species of a different genetic composition, as clearly demonstrated by in vitro fertilization in a womb, or by in vivo fertilization in the womb. The embryo is alive. It's human and unique. Fetus, which is Latin for unborn baby. Then the argue continues by the purveyors of abortions when they argue it may be human, but it does not or it has not achieved personhood. That's the very same thing that was said about Dred Scott in the Dred Scott case of 1857. Now, here are the myths of abortions. A woman has a right over her own body. Yes, legally this is true. Yet, the law is limited because suicide is illegal. Scientifically, it is not so. The baby within her is not part of her body because the baby has been separated and has its own unique genetic information and biological material. Every cell in a woman's body has exactly the same 46 chromosomes and exactly identical thousands of genes in those chromosomes, with the exception for the cells in that baby. Furthermore, the baby even produces its own nest and creates its own placenta and umbilical cord. It has its own bloodstream. It has a different blood type. It produces its own blood, and in half of its own cases, the baby has a different sex. Less than 1% of abortions are performed to save a mother's life. Rapists were killed in the days of old, but the babies was spared. End quote. So for all this nonsense of people still trying to defend abortions, I just gave you a brief synopsis as to why I oppose abortions and why I still stand by the fact and the reality that not only is it morally wrong spiritually, but is wrong scientifically. And this is where having the proper education on the science and idiosyncrasies of sex, let alone the human body, must come into play. So, I say unto you, one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not kill. It didn't specify what methodology to use to take a life. It said thou shalt not kill. Now, let me tell you the next reason. Let me tell you the next reason why they are thinking about overturning Roe versus Wade. Let me tell you the reason why. The reality is this. There is a certain nationality of people in this country alone that is dying at a very fast pace. They're dying at a very fast pace. They're dying quicker than they can be born. This is a scientific fact. It's in my archives too. And had I been thinking, I would have got, you know what? Give me one moment. Y'all gonna get this education in here tonight. You gonna get this education here tonight. Give me one moment. You can get mad at me all you want to. And you know what? Let me say this before I get the rest of my archives. The mere fact that people would even be angry that the Roe versus Wade case of 73, the possibility of it being overruled, overturned, and people are getting angry about it, that says a lot about them. It shows just how much of a beast-like mindset they really have. You know how many women would love to be a mother right now and they can't do it because of God knows whatever kind of health problems and health issues they have? And the majority of you can be a mother because your health permits you to be a mother, but you take your ability to be a mother for granted. Yes, you do. You take the ability of producing a child, a healthy child, you take it for granted. Because you mismanage your bodies, you mismanage your time, you've been very, very promiscuous, and above all else, you have been extremely disobedient, and yet you still look for the divine favor of the Almighty? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And yet you call yourself a queen. Queen of what? Queen of the damned. I'll be right back. Get my archives. Now, let me see here. Can y'all believe this? The nerve and the audacity of some people, they gonna get mad because Roe versus Wade could quite possibly be overturned. Isn't that sick? Isn't that twisted? Let me find what I'm looking for here. Give me one moment. In the meanwhile, while I'm locating my other notes, for those that are still listening, I want to take the time to say thank you for tuning in, for your viewership and your followership. I do appreciate it very, very much. Like the video, share the video, tag your family and your friends on the YouTube side. Like, share, and subscribe. And donate to the cause. My Cash App ID is $Hidden1Truth. Once again, that is $Hidden1Truth. And see, I've seen some of your little statuses too. I've seen your little statuses. I don't remember who it was exactly that said or tried to make the comparison to the death of Yeshua and trying to equate that with why people are crying out against Roe versus Wade being overturned. Sure did. Sure did. They're going to try and compare abortions to what the Most High did for us by sending his only son. Her argument was, since the Most High sent his son to die for us, why are we crying out that abortions is wrong? I wanted to go through that doggone phone and I wanted to beat the hell out of her, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, this heifer. Are you kidding me? Like, seriously? Really? So you're going to call yourself going to try and equate the death, burial, and resurrection of the death of Yeshua by taking our death penalty upon himself. You're going to try and say that's all right, but when it comes down to abortions, we're wrong for. Are you insane? I don't know who the hell has said it. I really don't know. It just caught my attention. I'm like, how the hell? I don't know. I don't remember who said it. But I'm like, what the hell you call yourself doing? Do you know what the hell you're saying? I got a lot of stuff in here too. I'm going to find it if I can. But before I do, let me just acknowledge your observations. Let me see if there's any more observations. All right, we got some more observations. Let me take a look here. First on the this time on the Facebook/Meta side. Postmodernist. I haven't heard that word in a minute. Lady Marla says postmodernist thinking would have us believe that there is no absolute moral truth. That truth is essentially by reason or observation. I hate postmodernists. I hate them. I hate that. Like, shut the hell up. And I'm not saying man, I'm serious. Let me make sure that everything is still going up here. Everything is still going well here. Everything seems to be going well here, from what I can see. All right, good. I hate postmodernists. And the observation that Lady Marla just presented, postmodernist thinking would have us believe that there is no absolute moral truth. That truth is essentially by reason or observation. I hate them. I don't hate them, but I strongly dislike them. There has to be some moral doggone truth somewhere, someplace. It has to be. And truth it goes far beyond reason and observation. As I said a few days ago, science and faith, you need both of them. Science is needed. Science is important, yes. That's just like saying, that's just trying to find logic as to why pedophilia should be legalized. That's just like saying that pedophilia it's all right. Come on, man. And that's why, Lady Marla, I don't like postmodernists. I don't like them. Because to me, that interpretation of how they think, that lets me know that they will try and legalize and try to use logic with anything and everything that goes up against a man's or a woman's conscience. I can't stand postmodernists. I can't. I can't stand them. Giselle says, actually, queens are giving everything instead of earning it. The females, the ones say they're queens, are looking for a handout from anyone. Exactly. That's exactly. Oh, here's a famous line. I'm independent. I don't need no man. Yeah. But yet you're still looking for handouts from Big Daddy government. And you have OnlyFans. Oh, by the way, I found out some time ago, maybe about 6 months ago, maybe, that for those of you sea biscuits that have OnlyFans, you now have to pay taxes. for OnlyFans at that. Lady, Sister Giselle says, and I bet she calls herself a queen. She probably does. Probably does. Lady Marla says, that's what they are saying. Pedophilia is okay. Yes. And you all know exactly how I feel. See, this one, I will say it again. This is the reason why they are supporting this this Sambo, Judge Sambo, who's been very lackadaisical when it comes down to predators. See? And see, here's the thing. Let me put this quote up here about these blasted postmodernists. Postmodernist thinking would have us believe that there is no absolute moral truth. That truth is essentially by reason or observation. Here's another example of that. When somebody says, I identify as such and such a thing, is the same as saying I pretend to be. Is there any moral? Is that absolute moral truth? By reason or observation. So what they're saying by reason and observation, when somebody says I identify as blah 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 That's why postmodernists, they make me sick, man. They irritate me. I can't stand postmodernists. Giselle says they will let that go quickly or get dealt with by the law. Only their OnlyFans page. Quite a few of them has already had their pages shut down. Yeah, Color has shut down. On the YouTube side, Mrs. James says now they're discussing there may not be any more vaccines, while they're telling these simple-minded there's no need to wear a mask anymore, and foolish our people are. At this point, our people are just subhuman. Plain and simple. They're just subhuman. They are. They're just completely subhuman. Period. They are. They're just subhuman. They are. They're subhuman. Jordan, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us tonight. Happy to have you with us tonight. Robert, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us tonight. Happy to have you with us. Look, I'm getting ready to give you the biggest reason as to why the possibility that Roe versus Wade could be overturned. The first reason I said is because they can't use abortions like it's birth control pills anymore. The second reason I said was because they cannot have promiscuous sex or casual sex as freely as they've been doing in the past. And Mrs. James brought up an impromptu reason when she said when the Roe versus Wade is incomplete, the government aid will discontinue for those parents that are capable to work. That's the third reason. I didn't even think of that. And I agree with her. I agree with her. But now, here's the biggest reason. Let me observe your observation before I forget. Giselle says, I hope these pop of Smurfs get of line with their disrespectful opinions. Very same people that's talking all these yin yang behind this keyboard and all that stuff, they don't have the kahunas to say to our faces. So it's coming soon. They're gonna get popped in the mouth soon. Yeah, man, brother Robert. I'm glad to have. We're happy to have you with us, man. Thank you again for joining us. The biggest reason. Matter of fact, let me see if I can get a sound. Let me see if I can get a drum roll, please. Let's see. Let me see if I can do it right here. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may ask you, are you all ready for the biggest reason, I believe, as to why there's such an uproar when it comes down to Roe versus Wade, possibly? Well, let me get this observation by Mrs. James. She says, I work in the courts and I hear and know a lot that's going on. Wow. 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 I am not, you know what, I'm not the least bit surprised at this point. All right. Drum roll, please. The biggest reason why everybody is in an uproar, that the fact that Roe versus Wade could be overturned, get ready for it. Certain Caucasians, if not all Caucasians, collectively are dying off faster than everybody else on the face of this earth. Yep. Yep. White folk are dying off faster than they are being born. And here is what I have been looking for. This is what I've been looking for. Listen. There's a reason why that people have given me the nickname of Dr. Yosef. Shoot, I gave myself that nickname. Anyway, but they agreed to it. But I'll say again. The biggest reason as to why they are in such an uproar about the possible overturning or overruling of Roe versus Wade, white folk are dying off quicker than they can be born. Yep. They're dying off quicker than they can be born. Mrs. James on the YouTube side, Sister Giselle sends her greetings and salutations to you. I mean, look, let's face it. Let's face it, ladies and gents. Let me bring you up to speed on a few matters. Now, I don't remember the actual chronological date and time as to when they first aborted this in the state of Georgia. But in the state of Georgia, a few years ago, it was very recent. They were the ones that aborted abortions. It was in the state of Georgia. And the reason why they made abortions illegal in Georgia was because they were dying off faster than they can be born. You didn't know that, did you? Of course they're not going to tell you this. Of course not. Listen. Remember I said a few months, and see, even a white woman, I'm not the one saying this. I'm not the only one saying this. A white woman herself said this. Did you know that a white woman actually said that the whole white nationality, the whole white race, they're not actually are supposed to be here on earth? They're not even supposed to be born. They're genetic accidents at best. This is what a white woman said. A white woman said this. Joseph Benjamin didn't say this. Joseph X didn't say this. A white woman said this. I just echoed the sentiments. Look, don't get mad at me because of all you Negropeans who you still worship other people that never gave a crap about you, never did, never will. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. The reality is, they're dying off quicker than they can be born. Meanwhile, while they're dropping dead like flies, we melanated folk, we baby kids. We don't die. We multiply. Look, I try my best to present all of you with facts and statistics. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me because I'm telling you all the truth. Look it up. You know what? I'm going to take a sip. Maybe I better take another sip. I mean, look. It's not my fault. It's none of our faults as to what's going on. White folk are dropping dead quicker than black folk. A white woman actually said this about 6 to 7, 8 months ago on TikTok. It's still on TikTok if they didn't remove it. So because they made abortions illegal in the state of Georgia, they didn't do it for the benefit Alright, don't start this BS now. Alright. In Georgia, when they made abortions illegal, they didn't do it for the benefit of black folk. They did it for the benefit of them. These white folk. The racist white folk. But collectively, white folk are dying off faster than ever before. As a matter of fact, In 2016, according to my archives, in 2016, right? In 2016, it said that there were more whites dying in 17 states. At first, it was 17 states in 2016 where it says more whites were dying, but later on it increased. Now it was saying 26 states. That's almost 10 states more than what it was originally reported in 2016. Here's more. The Caucasian population is not replacing itself. They're dying faster than they're being born. Fewer births and more deaths. It's also reported that by the year 2045, the white population is going to drop by 50%. And the starting point will be in the next 3 years, 2025. Don't get mad at me. Look it up. Don't get mad at me. This is science. I'll read it again. Y'all can hear me, right? Let me know if y'all can still hear me on Facebook and YouTube, because they starting to jack up my okay, y'all can hear me? Good. I'm gonna repeat it again. Let me make sure that everything is on the up and up on my end again. Let me see. Let me make sure. I'm gonna repeat it again. There's more whites dying in 26 states as of 2016. The white population is not replacing itself. They're dying faster than they're being born. Fewer births and more deaths are taking place. By 2045, the white population is going to drop by 50%, and the starting point will be in the year 2025. That's 3 years from now, folks. Here's more. The top 3 reasons as to why Caucasians are falling like flies is because of opioid and drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and homosexuality. Do you also remember back then when they were also so big on the whole illegal immigrant issue? Y'all remember that, right? I'm making sure that everything is still on the up and up. They were jacking up my Wi-Fi a few moments ago. Remember they were, y'all remember that, right? They were 38 hot, man. They were livid. They were PO'd about this whole illegal immigrant issue. Y'all remember that, right? Man, that's the reason why. I mean, they will live it, man. Ooh, woo. Listen, let me tell y'all this. And this may be the biggest pipe bomb of the night. Here's the thing. Melanated folk are with whites because of whites' wealth. Let me read it again. Black folk or melanated folk are with whites because of wealth. Whites are with blacks because of them dying out. They're trying to preserve their DNA. Love ain't got a damn thing to do with it. This is a matter of survival of the fittest for these white folk. Y'all do understand that? Love, it ain't about love. Love ain't got nothing to do with it. It's a survival of the fittest for these white folk. By 2045, they are going to be the new minority, ladies and gentlemen. They are so scared to death right now. This is survival mode for them. You understand? This is survival mode for them. Ah. Oh. Sister Giselle says that's true. Brother Robert said you just dropped a huge bomb on us. That's what they're not telling us because of their overwhelming fear of us that has always existed. Brother, their fear is being made manifest every single day. Every single day. Brother Robert continues, everything they've ever done trying to get rid of us always brutally backfires on them. Sister Giselle, I wish you could rattle that organ for a few minutes. Because that man is preaching. That man is preaching tonight. Thank God. Oh boy. The organist says those Caucasians don't want blacks to continue having babies, and the situation not only hurting straight people but the LGBT people will feel the rap. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Brother Robert says they're really, really feeling it. That's why they're so terrified of us one day taking back over the planet. Listen. We are the original life in the universe. We are the original life in the universe. And I'm going to tell you something else too. Mendelian's law is in the Bible. What? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mendelian's or Mandel's law is in the Bible. Wait a minute, Yosef, what are you talking about? Mendelian's law is in the Bible. Science is in the Bible. Let me make sure everything is still going along very smoothly. Brother Robert says you're speaking truth to power, Yosef. I first heard about this back in the early 1980s. In the early 1980s, I was a baby. I was an infant child. Sure was. Depending on what part of the 80s you heard this, I was in my mother's belly. I was in my mother's belly, cooling, chilling, without a care in the world. I was in my mother's belly. Sure was. Mom, you hear this, right? Mom, Dad, all the rest of my ancestors, y'all hear this, right? I'm gonna say, as a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna pull it up. I got y'all. Listen, I got y'all. As long as I'm gonna be on the air, I got y'all. Google, what is Mendelian's or Mandel's law? Mandel's law.
According to Byju's, the law of segregation states that every individual possesses two alleles and only one allele is passed on to the offspring.
Look, can I ask y'all a question? And we're getting ready to wrap it up. I ain't gonna hold y'all much longer. Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all, you do have your Bibles, right? Y'all got your Bibles? And I'm going to put this in layman's terms, so it won't completely go over your head. Don't worry. I got y'all. All right. Turn to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And then turn to Genesis chapter 2. Stay in that same chapter. But first, Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, and skip a few verses and go to Genesis chapter 2 verse 22. I'm wrapping it up now. I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I'm setting up the premise. Genesis chapter 2 verse 7 and verse 22. I believe Genesis 2 and 7 says, and the Most High formed man from the dust of the ground and blew into his nostrils the breath of life. I'll read it again. Well, I'll recite it again. And the Most High formed man from the dust of the ground and blew into his nostrils the breath of life. Genesis chapter 2 verse 22 says something like this, and I'm paraphrasing it. And the Most High took Adam's rib and he formed woman. Eve came from Adam. Now, let's go back to Genesis 2 and 7. And the Most High formed man from the dust of the ground and blew into his nostrils the breath of life. He blew into the nostrils of Adam particles of eternity. And when he blew, when the Most High blew the breath of life, man started wiggling around, moving around. Because at first it was like this, the dust was like this. Most High said, started moving. Now, with that said, Mandel's law is in the Bible. How is Mandel's law in the Bible? I'm going to teach y'all a little bit tonight before I get out of here. And I'm going to remind you in the process. Here it is. According to Mendelian's law, dark skin is dominant. Light skin is recessive. Yeah, that's what he did. That's what the Most High did. He blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and he molded and shaped and sculpted him from the dust of the ground, and man started moving and wiggling. Yeah, Mandel's law is in the Bible. Mandel's law says dark skin is dominant. Light skin is recessive. You can get the recessive from the dominant, but you cannot get the dominant from the recessive. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. Mandel's law says that dark skin is dominant. Light skin is recessive. You can get the recessive from the dominant, but you cannot get the dominant from the recessive. And so, every black or melanated child of the Most High stop feeling inferior to everybody else. So what you do when you get off the air, go back and revisit the sermon, The Antidote for Low Self-Esteem, the Cure for the Inferiority Complex. And you go and you look in the mirror and you take a look at your beautiful black self. I'm going to say it one more time before we get on out of here, and I conclude with my final 2 cents when I say this. Mandel's law is in Genesis chapter 2 verse 7. And the Most High blew and the Most High formed man from the dust of the ground and blew into his nostrils the breath of life, and he molded and sculpted and shaped man, and he started moving and started wiggling because he blew into him particles of eternity. Particles of eternity. That's what he did. He blew into his nostrils particles of eternity. And the Most High wanted something like himself. And he created Adam. And he created Eve. And they are the parents of mankind. And the melanated woman, which was Eve, had the unique genetic ability to turn and change dark to caramel to red bone and everything else in between. In a nutshell, in colloquial terminology, what I'm saying is the Most High gave Eve the unique genetic ability and talent to have all 31 flavors of nationality, because everybody else, what I'm saying is, everybody else is the remix. We are the originals. Do you feel me now? Like the old commercial said, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We are the original life in the universe. Everybody else is the remix. Can you hear me now? Is this thing working? Can you hear me now? See? And Miss James is absolutely right. She says, Ruha means wind, breath, air, spirit. See? That's what that means. Now, I've held y'all long enough. I'm going to close with this. Brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of the Most High, hear me and hear me well. We are living in some of the most darkest and challenging times in the entire history of this dimension or this realm or this world that we have ever seen. Everything that is righteous and holy and divine is aggressively and progressively is being challenged, scorned, laughed at, disrespected, you name it. Scriptures in both the Bible and the Quran has said that there will come a time in human listicle history. The time will come in a human listicle era or time that evil would be fair seeming, that right is wrong and wrong is right. We are living in that hour right now. And because we are living in that particular hour that the scriptures prophesied or predicted, escapism or being delusional about it is not allowed. Or at least it should not be. We who believe in these books of scripture, we who believe in doing the right thing for the right reason, we are being severely challenged like never before. We're laughed at. We're being disrespected, insulted, you name it. You know we're living in some dark times when you have people that's angry and livid and upset because something that's evil and wicked might be overturned or overruled, and they're angry about it. You know we're living in some bad times, wicked times, legendary bad days, when a wrong well over 50 plus years ago, a wrong is now finally being rightened, or it has the possibility of being rightened. I've given you 4 reasons. 3 of those reasons came from me. The 4th one came from Mrs. James. The first reason why they're upset that abortion may be overturned by the United States Supreme Court, number 1, is because they can no longer use abortions like it is a birth control pill. Number 2, they can no longer freely have casual and promiscuous sex. The third reason, which is impromptu, came from Sister James. She said because when the Roe versus Wade is complete, the government aid will discontinue for those parents that are capable to work. That's the third reason. And the fourth and the biggest reason, I believe, is because they know for a fact that they're dying out. They are fastly becoming the new minority, and we are becoming the new majority. And their fears are progressively becoming made manifest. That's what's going on. And they're scared to death. If you notice that every single thing that they have tried to do to eliminate and eradicate and annihilate and obliterate us has always backfired. Have y'all noticed that? It's always backfired on them. And here's more. I found out a few hours ago that on Facebook, they're not going to even have podcasters anymore. After June 3rd, the platform for podcasters on Facebook/Meta, that's gone. So that means my podcast for Yosef's 2 Cents and the House of Bread Ministry podcast is on the line, man. Especially for this platform on Facebook. And the only glimmer of hope that I have to still even be on Facebook/Meta is that if I use my personal profile, if I present my podcast on my personal profile, and I use it as a live feed, just like I've been doing. But as of right now, next month, it could be the very last time you see me podcasting on Facebook. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But I'm saying that it could be. The possibility is there. But I have been telling you all this for at least almost 5 years. That the time is coming when Facebook and all the rest of these social media sites would not be available to us. I've been warning y'all of this. I've been warning y'all of this for a long time. Since 2017, when I started podcasting on this platform. I warned y'all. I've been warning you. Now look what's happened. I warned you. I've been warning, I've been telling you that there will be a possibility that the time will come. Maybe that time has arrived. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. I don't know. I keep telling all of you who listens to me, the time will come when none of this will be available. This could be the beginning of it. And if it is going to be available, eventually you may have to start paying for it. I just found out before I got on the air that some Twitter users, now that Elon Musk bought Twitter, some users may have to start paying for Twitter. None of this surprises me, because I've been warning you for a long time. Now, if I've been saying something for a long time and you haven't been listening and you're surprised that all this is happening, you haven't been listening, nor have you been hearing me. I enjoy clowning, I enjoy teasing you, I enjoy cracking jokes, but when it gets time and when it gets down to be serious as a heart attack. And this is one of these moments. So my question to you is, what are you going to do? Are you going to make the necessary adjustments that you need to make? Or are you going to continue on being foolish and ignore what's going on? Because you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to do something. What are you going to do? Brother Robert says it makes perfect sense as to why white men in these last several years have really gotten involved in relationships with black women. Their genes and DNA will be preserved by impregnating black women. Most, if not many, melanated women don't have a clue about this. Their only concern is having children with blue, green, and gray eyes and good hair. He continues. Their fears have driven them totally psychotic. They keep coming after us through racial slurs, attacks, the police masking, fake stops, arrests, killings, etc., etc., etc. You're right. You're right, Brother Robert. You're spot on. And as fast as they're killing us off, guess what? More of us pop up. More of us just continue to pop up. So again, I ask the question, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And when are you going to start? It's all right to pray and meditate and fast. You need to do that. We all need to do that, yes. But we also need to start praying to prepare and start preparing now, if we haven't done it yet. Because there is a change in the spirit realm, in the atmosphere. But only few of us really understands the change of the shift, the changing of the guard, if you will. All I can say is, y'all better wake the hell up, and y'all better wake up fast. Y'all better wake up. And you better wake up real fast. I rest my case. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very, very much for tuning in and listening. Thank you for your observations. But it's been a ball. But the clock on the wall says that's all for now. Like the video, share the video, tag your family and your friends on the Facebook/Meta side. On YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. And on both platforms, donate to the cause. My Cash App ID is $Hidden1Truth. That's $Hidden1Truth. Until next time, I'm Yosef X. That's been my 2 cents. Catch y'all on the flip side. See you Saturday night, most high willing. Have a good one. Peace. I'm out.